Today, we're diving into the story of Karren Brady. You might know her as a baroness, a business mogul, maybe from TV. But really, she's a woman who didn't just break glass ceilings, she absolutely shattered them with the sheer, unapologetic force of will.
And this quote, this is everything. It's the key to understanding her entire journey. It's not just some clever line, it's like her personal operating system. It's what powered her from being this defiant kid into a total titan of business and sport. So we're going to break her story down into 4 main parts. We'll track how this core mindset, forged way back in her childhood, really became the blueprint for all of her incredible success.
Okay, let's get right into it. Her story doesn't start with a fancy education or some clear path that was laid out for her. Nope. It starts with this unshakable sense of self, long before she had any professional qualifications to her name.
You know, Brady has described herself as just an average child, with no special gifts. But what's so fascinating is that by the time she was 18, even without the usual qualifications, she already knew what her real assets were: ambition, determination, and integrity. These were her core values, and believe me, they turned out to be way more valuable than any degree.
And this is where it gets really interesting. These little stories from her childhood, some of which she doesn't even remember, paint such a clear picture of her personality. I mean, from drinking sherry at 4 years old to telling another kid, "That's my seat" on the first day of school, it all points to this consistent, defiant character that was just hardwired from the very beginning.
All right, so how does that defiant mindset actually work in the real world? This is where she had to pave her own way, with pretty much nothing but those core values and a relentless, nonstop work ethic. Her rise was incredibly fast. I mean, think about it. She goes from basic office work to a super high-pressure sales job at a radio station, and in just 6 months, she lands a client who would completely change the course of her career. That isn't luck. That was all about her ability to see an opportunity where everyone else just heard the word no. And this number, wow, it just perfectly illustrates the sheer scale of her success. This wasn't some small win. At 19 years old, she personally built a deal that had her client spending £2 million a year, which made him the biggest radio advertiser in the whole country. So, what was her secret? Well, the thing is, it wasn't magic. It was a clear 4-step process. First, she showed up and waited for hours. Second, she persisted when anyone else would have just left. Third, she came prepared with all the facts. And finally, she sealed the deal by pitching a gamble that he just couldn't refuse. It was a total masterclass in turning defiance into a deal. Now, this incredible success in sales led to an even crazier, more audacious move. It took her from the world of advertising into the hostile, completely male-dominated arena of 1990s English football. I mean, seriously, think about that for a second. At just 23, she spots an ad for a football club that's failing. So she pitches her biggest client, David Sullivan, this idea: you buy Birmingham City FC and I'll run it. And you know what? He agreed. This one comment, it just perfectly captures the condescending and sexist world she walked into. She wasn't just young, she was the only woman in the boardroom, and people literally had no idea what to do with her. She basically had to kick the door down just to get into the room. But here's the thing. Despite all those challenges, she delivered. She made tough, unemotional decisions and focused purely on the business. And in her very first year, she did what no one else could. She turned a failing club into a profitable one. So all these experiences, being in the trenches of business and football, they forged a really clear and practical philosophy for her. One that covers leadership, equality, and what it actually takes to build a successful life.
For Brady, feminism isn't some radical or anti-man thing. It's much simpler than that. It's about a level playing field. It's the belief that women should have the same rights, the same pay, and the same opportunities as men. Pure and simple.
She's also incredibly honest about the constant juggle of being a working mom. Her life was this relentless cycle of high-stakes board meetings one minute and then school sports day the next. And that reality is perfectly captured by something her son once said to her.
Wow. I mean, that's just such a powerful human moment, right? It just highlights the personal sacrifices and that constant tension between her incredible professional ambition and her commitment to her family. And her marriage, which has lasted over 25 years, isn't built on some grand romance. It's built on a really practical foundation: total honesty, giving each other space, and a relationship where they want but don't need to be together. It's the little things, like her husband filling her car with gas, that actually matter the most. Ultimately, This is her core message. It's a call to action for anyone, but especially for young women who might be afraid to take a risk or chase an opportunity. The point is, don't live a life of I wish I had.
And that leaves us with a pretty powerful final thought. Brady's story teaches us that no isn't always a dead end. So the real question is, what obstacle in your own life isn't actually a stop sign, but a challenge that's just waiting for you to find another way around?